Welcome to BizClass. This interactive spreadsheet shows how depreciation and lease costs of fixed assets are calculated. The spreadsheet can also be extended and used as a fixed assets register. The blue cells in the spreadsheet are used for data entry, while the other cells have been locked. The Excel comments feature is used to explain the information required in each key cell. The spreadsheet has two tabs. The first tab is devoted to purchased assets, while the second tab focuses on leased assets. Let's focus on the fixed assets tab first. The spreadsheet consists of two key elements. Asset details is where purchased assets are maintained, and the reports section shows the monthly depreciation values for each cost center as well as the net asset values reflected on the balance sheet. While we're here, let's set up the depreciation rates for each asset category. Let's add an asset. Each asset is allocated 10 rows. But before we do this, we need to set the date for the end of the previous financial year. This date, when changed, sets up the reporting year. Next, describe the asset, categorize it using the drop-down list, and allocate it to a cost center. Enter the date of the purchase, year and month. I have made this easy to use. No need to use the Excel formula. Enter the cost of the asset. Depreciation is calculated for each month as well as the balance sheet values. The calculations use the category depreciation rates, the accumulated depreciation, the balance sheet value, and the date when the asset will be fully depreciated. Let's sell that asset. In the same way you added an asset, enter the date of the sale and enter the value realized for that asset. Notice that the depreciation calculation stops in the month of the sale, and take note of the profit and loss calculation. Let's add a second asset to show what happens in the reports, because this asset is allocated to a second cost center. The reports show the depreciation for each asset, the aggregate depreciation for each cost center, and the net asset values, which are reflected on the balance sheet. Add additional assets by inserting additional rows. Insert additional rows before the last asset. The assets are housed in a specific named range, which range won't be affected when this is done. Unprotect the spreadsheet with the password BizBean. Add 11 rows for each asset added. Copy the details of the previous asset into the inserted rows. Clear the values, blue cells only, and re-invoke the protection with the BizBean password. Let's go to the Leased Assets tab and add an asset. Before we do this, we need to set up the date for the end of the previous financial year. This date, when changed, sets up the reporting year. Each asset is allocated 5 rows. Describe the asset leased. Enter the date of the purchase, the cost of the asset, the lease rate, the lease term, and its cost center. Let's add another asset. This section reports the monthly lease costs for both overheads and cost of sales. To add additional rows, add rows using the same method as described in the Fixed Assets tab. I hope you find the spreadsheet useful, and hopefully you understand how depreciation is calculated and that it's important to maintain an asset register for all fixed assets in your business.